When I first got into CRO, I had this very romanticized picture of what CRO is, how CRO was done, and I kind of thought like I can do all of these things with any site, and I never questioned that assumption. Now in reality, especially when it comes to e-commerce conversion rate optimization, there's a very limited amount of things that you can do in terms of data and in terms of A/B testing. However, that doesn't mean that you cannot run a CRO program, because CRO programs can be run without testing. There's a lot that can be done. And in this video, I'm going to share a little bit about my lean CRO methodology and what we focus on to get small merchants results in our agency, CRO Gurus. But before we do that though, if you haven't already, subscribe, like the video. I'm going to put out a lot of great videos if I get the popularity here. And here, like this video is all about finding the biggest bang for the buck. So you have limited budget, you have limited times. Your opportunities are limited because you can't just like test things over and over again. So we are looking to make very reasoned, logical changes to the site in order to get better results. And to do this, we need to be able to justify these changes in a way that leaves no room for discussion, basically. So they are so black and white that it just makes sense. So we are basically following best practices and customizing them to your situation. So understanding why people would want it this way as opposed to that way. And to best explain this point, I'm going to jump into my screen share here and let's go over it in a very practical manner. Here is the Research Excel model by CXL. It's a CRO methodology and it's meant to provide insights before you go into the testing phase and also during the testing phase. Now, what I find particularly useful about this method is that you generally have infinite opportunities. Now, with infinite opportunities comes lack of focus. So what I like to do is use framework for more predictive and predictable results. So this framework breaks this down into its mutually exclusive but collectively exhaustive parts. So here's basically like all the things that you can do research-wise, more or less all of the things. And you can then focus on individual elements from here. So first of all, let's start with the most traditionally boring one, but it's a good place to start because the website functionality and the store functionality is a good baseline for testing. So if your store is failing on mobile devices, it's not responsive, it's breaking up, etc., or if it's really slow to load, these are going to be issues that are going to hold you back. Now, for explanation purposes, I'm going to use a popular Shopify store. Many people might know it already. It's gfuel.com, one of the top 50 Shopify stores. And here, just as an example, like how the first view can look like, there's already here like a huge we value your privacy thing coming up on mobile devices. Like if you look at this on a desktop perspective, like the privacy policy thing is not that annoying or like not that extensive, but here it definitely is. So that would be the very, very first thing that I would look at as a store owner. Then you seem to have like some potential issues here already. So you just like go through the different devices and check this site out. I'm using a special browser for this one, but you can definitely do this on your own mobile device. If you have Android, try to get an iOS device. If you have iOS, try to get an Android device to have it on both devices. And usually, the smaller the screen, the better. They tend to break when the screen sizes go smaller. So I'm just browsing through the site, go through all the key pages, and you can find out which pages would be the focus and which devices would be the focus from Google Analytics. So you can just go to your analytics, check behavior all pages to see which pages are the most popular ones. And then you can see, for example, audience and technology, like see which kind of browsers they're using, which mobile browsers, etc. are popular. You can check the mobile overview to see if it's going to be desktop traffic, mobile traffic, what's the distribution there. So that way you'll be smarter about it. Again, we are looking for the highest marginal returns, the biggest bang for the buck. So we don't want to just waste time here. We just want to check what's necessary, what's relevant, and then move on because we have a lot of optimization to do. And for site speeds, I would recommend testing it with a tool like gtmetrics.com. And don't just test your front page, test your key pages. So at least one product page, one collection page, front page, test your about us page, etc. So you'll get a more holistic of an approach and understanding on this. Then you can just upload these, like open multiple tabs and put them into the analyzer. I'll show you the end result here. So it will take a while, especially if you're on the free plan. Your location generally doesn't matter if you're in Shopify, it should be fine. I recommend using a phone if you have mostly phone traffic. It can vary a little bit between phone and desktop, so that's something to keep in mind. But generally you're looking for just to get that result, and then you will know whether you should do something a bit more radical to improve the site speeds, or whether you're going to be okay in this area, where you can then generally put a tick mark on that one and move on. So here we have it. Even fairly big Shopify stores might have big problems here. So definitely the time to interactive is pretty poor here for this store at 10 seconds. Just imagine waiting 100-meter dash on it, like for someone to run it before you can use the site. Like that's going to be pretty terrible. And notice here that most of your pages are already cached in your browser. So to you, it feels a lot faster than it feels for the person who's just landing on it for the very first time. So I would say here as a grade, you should usually be A, B, or C at worst. And then if you are anything below that, you have work to do. And yeah, so like I mentioned, test more pages than just the front page. Too many people don't look into it. A nice thing with GTmetrix is that you can look at the performance and they will explain these things. So you don't have to be a wizard to know what these are. So there you can look into that. Now, if it's a really bad one, you might consider redoing your theme. If it looks like there's some hope, like in this case, you would be smart to engage with the developer to see what can be done and what they could promise you in terms of improvements, and take it from there. So that is part 1 of this video. If you took any value out of the video, please thumbs up for this. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you had a good time with me today. Now, next time we are going to look into these more in depth and cover a bit more of fun parts of optimizations once we have now taken care of these mandatory technical things and got our technical setup very sound. Now people can actually use the site. Let's see what they do there and go from there. Cheers.